marketing. And today we're talking with Michele Mason. She's serving the Southeast Tennessee and Northwest Georgia and at BB&B, and they're based in Chattanooga. She's got 30 years of experience, dedicated service with the BB&B network. She's been in senior leadership positions of North Alabama, East Alabama, West Georgia, Southeast Florida, and the Caribbean. Her core focus is advocating for marketplace integrity, ethical business practices, and consumer protection. She's also helping local businesses achieve accreditation standards while serving as a trusted resource for consumers seeking transparent and reliable market information. So, welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
So we've had a conversation and about marketing and the importance of the BB&B. And so just our first thing is, let's talk about that trust and marketing synergy that the BB&B offers. So what is that trust badge effect? What does that look like? How does the integrity and dynamic of the BBB seal on a client's website directly improve their lead conversions?
Yeah, thank you. Our brand has been around since 1912. We're a long-standing organization that has consistently promoted trust, and we're very unique in that we do have 8 areas that we evaluate companies against when we're looking at BEB accreditation, because we want to make sure that we can confirm that the company does uphold our standards, and then we're asking the business to make a commitment to continue to uphold those. So we're checking these every year. So when someone is granted the use of our seal, it's a sign to anyone that's considering doing business that they have been evaluated by BEB. We have met them to not only meet our standards, but to uphold our standards on a continuous basis. And we know that trust is so important to customers. That's usually what distinguishes one company from another. You can offer similar products or services, but you want to make sure you're working with someone who is going to be focused on the relationship with the customer, both from a customer service standpoint, as well as just following through with everything that they say they're going to do.
Wow, that's super important. And so let's talk about specifically the reviews versus the rating. So how valuable is reviews to a local business, and eh, compared to the BBN rating that they can get from those reviews? So local owners often feel overwhelmed and managed by open forum review sites, but what makes a business BBNP profile and letter grade different from standard online review platforms?
Yeah, so we actually offer our ratings separate from the customer reviews that are submitted to us, intentionally, because throughout the years, we've wanted our rating to reflect the information we've been able to determine from evaluating a business. And then the customer reviews are certainly an important piece, because we know over the last several years, people have really come to want to look at those. Although they tell us that when they look at a review, what's most important is how the company is responding, even more so sometimes than what the reviews themselves say. So we're looking at that. We're encouraging businesses to make sure that they stay professional in their responses. If something does have a negative connotation in a review, then we do talk with the customer to see if they actually want that to be handled as a dispute, where we can help both parties come to a amicable either resolution, or maybe we're just there to help a business give their side of a story, so we can know if they are taking care of things appropriately and what you would expect. So for BB, our rating really reflects how strong the company is reflecting on the areas we feel are important. Truth in advertising, making sure you're meeting any kind of licensing guidelines or certification if it's required in what you offer, honoring your agreements, addressing if there are customer disputes, and being professional in responses to customer reviews as well, safeguarding privacy, and just in general, making sure that your actions are always ethical on behalf of both the business and the people who lead that business.
Wow. I can tell from your responses that there's so much legitimacy that goes into the thought of a business. And oftentimes we don't even think about the business owners. We just tend to think, hey, we just want to start a business and do our thing, and we don't really think about our reputation, or or what people think about our business and what we're trying to do,
Right.
what we're trying to serve. So that's very, very insightful. So in this next part of our interview, we just want to talk about the joining the BB and what this process looks like. So the eligible and applications for local business owners watching who want to get accredited, what are the core requirements a business must meet to join the BBB?
Yeah, thank you. As a starting point, we make sure that the company has been transacting business with their customers for at least 6 months. That starts to give us insight into making sure that anything that we find with customers is on a positive note. And that doesn't mean that if there have been complaints that that's going to disqualify someone, but we do want to take a look at any kind of customer relationships that happen in there. We also look at whether or not the owner has operated a business before. So if there's been a similar business, and there's a viable reason why they may have had to stop that. Now they're starting again. They can certainly get credit for that. And then we're going to look at things like licensing, if it does apply, making sure that those are in place, whether it's statewide or federal. We're looking at the company's advertising to make sure that statements in advertising are accurate. And then we're making sure that there's an indication that they have addressed disputes. We're looking at a lot of different places, and our team will gather information, but honestly, a lot of what we do is proactive on our end, looking at the company's presence online and what information is being shared.
Awesome. Thank you. Um, I want to go. I just remembered. Let's go back to the reviews a section, a second. Now that we've, well, we didn't quite finish that, but I want to go back and just kind of clarify some things for our viewers. When you get a review at the BB&B, what does that particular process look like in terms of timing?
Right,
Can just anybody leave a review, and are we, or what do you do about fake reviews and
right.
that kind of thing?
Yeah, I will tell you, our team is reading reviews. So this is not a fully automated process. This is something where we are going through it. We're making sure that those reviews do meet our acceptance guidelines. When you're a platform that accepts reviews, you do have to meet federal guidelines for that. So there's times where a business wants us to take a review down if it's negative, and we can't just take it down because it was requested. If it meets our guidelines, we do need it up there. But if there are some things in there that don't meet our policy, we would not include those. But overall, we
Okay.
are sending it to the business and giving the business owner a chance to confirm that is a customer. And then if you come back and tell us, I don't know who this is, then we're going to ask for more substantiation. We do allow reviews about interactions, so it may not be an actual contracted customer, but we are also looking for lots of elements in terms of whether or not there's a sign it could be a fake review, especially a fake positive. And we do actually have an algorithm that has lots of elements that it's looking for that help give us a score to tell us if there's any signs that we do need to look deeper into those. We're also looking at trends. If we're seeing, questionable or repeated comments, uh, if we're seeing IP addresses from other countries that, and this isn't a business that would be doing business globally, those are signs that help
Right.
us research these.
Wow, that's okay. And from a timing standpoint, so a business owner may ask for a review, and so
Right.
because there's this process
Right.
there, it's not immediate. So it is a process. So the review would come in, and you guys would do the process. So the next day, the review would be available to the business owner, right? And then and I didn't realize there's the next part of the process. So it could take a couple of days for this process to take
Right.
take place?
It can take up to 72 hours because we want to do validation at every level. So when we get a review, we do actually send it a link to the email address that's provided to confirm that that person can confirm they are the reviewer. And then it will go to you as the business owner to confirm that is a customer. If both parties are very fast about it, it can be up there pretty quickly, but it does take that validation process. As an accredited business, we do have a tool called the Review Solutions that not only helps you to encourage customers to consider reviewing your business. As always, under federal guidelines, you can't ask them, please give me a 5-star review. You can just ask that they review. But it does actually skip one of the validation processes because as an accredited business, we've already vetted your company, we've already confirmed the reliability and trustworthiness. So it does speed up the process. So that is definitely a benefit that comes as part of the accreditation that you can have this tool.
So you mentioned 5 stars, not asking for a 5 star. And I've recently, watching a lot of YouTube channels and other marketers online, and there is a little bit of a consensus there that having a perfect 5 star rating may not be the best thing.
That's right.
So a 4.9 might actually be better than a 5 because it kind of leads back to that authenticity, right? It's like, how is this possible that you've had, especially if you've had hundreds of customers and there's not been a single bad one, then that, you know, I realize you have a strict BB&B has a strict process,
Right.
right, to check and make sure that they're valid reviews. But other platforms, they doesn't have that quite stringent process, so there could be fake reviews on it. And I know that's something that we are battling against is fake reviews. So uh, my opinion would be it's better to have a review, even if it's somewhat of a bad one. It's better to have a review, and it's better to have a review that has specific keywords in it, like the service and the place, in addition, rather than just getting a 5 star review. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that up.
We fully agree. And there's a company that does a survey every year of individuals about reviews. We've always been proud because typically you're going to see that even though we may be considered a smaller platform for reviews than something like the ones that are created specifically for reviewing, say Yelp or Google, we do get quite a few reviews, and we were identified as the most trusted because I think people know that BB does a lot of vetting and a lot of personal touch to these. But what people also share in those surveys is that they are looking at how is the company addressing those. They're looking for more recent reviews. And
Right.
certainly, I don't think it's a problem if a company says, we hope that you'll consider giving us a 5 star. What we have to make sure is that a company is not offering any kind of incentive um, in return. And we've actually seen these before with BBB. I was with the West Palm office, and we started noticing we got a huge influx of reviews one time, and it turned out that this company was selling bath bombs and was offering free bath bombs if you gave them a positive review. And so, that is not allowed. We also saw a company offering items if, for motorcycles, and you would get a free face mask if you gave a 5 star review, and those actually violate federal law. So we'll help
Wow.
encourage a business to understand what they can and cannot do. That's part of our job too, is just to educate businesses. And we certainly want to help businesses do the right thing and stay out of trouble with, the government. We have the word bureau in our name, so sometimes people think we're the government. We're not. We are actually a not-for-profit organization, a 501(c)(6), just like a chamber. So we are supported through memberships, which are accreditations, just because we do so much vetting. But at the end of the day, we are here to help businesses make sure they are doing the right thing.
That that's good. That's good clarification. So we understand reviews are very, very important. Adding specific services and, like I said, places in the reviews is even better. And then also, business owners need to reply. You have a specific process in there where they actually get to review, analyze the review
Right.
before it's approved and posted. In other channels, yeah, I think it's kind of done after the fact. Like the review is posted and then you should reply to it then. So the processes are different with the BB&B. But okay, so here's my question. Are you aware of whether a BB&B review carries more weight than any of the other types of reviews?
I think that if people understand that BBB is here to promote trust, then we do know that in those surveys, they've identified us as the most trusted platform. And therefore, that means that they are trusting that the reviews on there are valid. But it's still, of course, still uh, really focuses on how the business is responding. Like you said, it is important to reply. It's important to stay very professional and positive. We understand that sometimes it's hard when you are seeing your reputation possibly attacked in a review if it's a negative one. But that's your chance to really show that you care about your customers and that if there is a concern, you're going to address it. But we also want to make sure businesses understand that if the concern is just something of a customer's, personal taste, isn't really relevant to what should be expected of a business, we fully understand that, and we can help people with wording to kind of get the right point across to other customers as well. We're glad to help in any way. And of course, there's always AI that always does a great job giving you the
Job.
right voice as
The
well.
tone, yes, yeah, yeah, you gotta
Yes,
ask to change the tone,
yes,
right?
and we encourage that.
Okay, so I'm glad that we went back and dove deep into the reviews because that's just a really important topic. So, okay, so I'm gonna skip back forward to, joining the BB&B. So give us the concise steps. Okay, so can you walk us through that actual
Yeah.
process? Once a business applies, what does the vetting process look like? And I think you carried most of that, but let's just kind of boil that down to like I call it the Pop Tart approach. You know,
I love
open
it.
the package, heat, and eat. Right. So
Oh,
what's
that's
what's the
easy.
simplified one, two, three?
Yeah. So to apply, you can go to bb.org and there's an application there. So we're going to be asking for some basic information, business start date, which would represent when your company started transacting business. We'll look at incorporation dates as well. So apply at bb.org, share your information, and then our team would start evaluating. So we're going to look at your online advertising or any advertising. We're going to look inside our own database to see if there's any preceding information either within that company's file or one that was in our system from the leadership, and it can be multiple people. We're going to look at their name and see if there's any other records associated with them, what the track record has been. We're going to ensure if there's any licensing involved that those are active and in place. And then we're going to be looking at whether or not there's been any customer reviews or complaints. And if so, are those positive? Has the company addressed them fully and professionally? And then we're just going to look at the background of the ownership and make sure that there's no concerns out there. Unfortunately, we had one company apply where we found that the leadership had in the past convictions under 30 different concerns. So
Oh
that
my.
one's going to be a concern. So we're going to take the application, we're going to do the vetting, and then from there, if we have any questions, we're going to come back out to the company. If not, then it gets moved on to our board of directors, and they do have to approve every application. So we do have a committee, a subcommittee of our board of about 6 business owners who represent lots of different industry, and they take a look at all the details and make sure they have no questions or concerns, and from there it would be approved. That process can be pretty quick, just depending on the type of business it is. Sometimes our vetting can occur within the same day as the application, but there is still that waiting period of getting it to our board for their final approval.
That's awesome. Thank you for explaining that in detail. The All right, so let's talk about the value of the BB&B membership. And I kind of want to set the stage and you can dive deep into this. From a marketing standpoint, we try to encourage our customers to do local sponsorships, at schools or festivals or whatever's going on. And
Right.
then that's kind of like a very micro, very, very local standpoint. And then, but the first really good membership level is going to be the chamber membership. So and that usually is for a county, right? And you can join multiple counties.
Right.
And then the next level, I really see that the BB&B is kind of at this, top tier membership level in terms of value and service because it covers multiple counties or you know you're covering all of Northeast Georgia. Uh, I'm in Gilmer County, but you also cover Uniontown, um, and Fannin, which is Blue Ridge, and then all the way over, I think, to Clayton. And then in Tennessee, you're covering all those counties in East Tennessee. So it's a very broad range. So I think from a membership and value standpoint, the local sponsorships are good, are great. And but as you are expanding the territory, the memberships are going to be more and more valuable. So um,
Right. Well, so we cover 11 counties in Southeast Tennessee, and then we have 10 counties in Northwest Georgia. So you're actually on the more eastern part of our area. However, what's great is that all BBBs, and there's just under 90 offices still throughout North America, feed into our data into the same database, which is access at bbb.org. So when you become accredited, then your name is still going to show up, even if someone is a little bit closer to Atlanta or on the little bit eastern side outside of what we call our service area. You're still going to have that listing. It's still going to show you're accredited on our profile. Um, and when someone's doing search on our website, they can use a variety of filters. So if they're looking for something near their zip code, that's one thing, but they could be widening it, or they may just take that out because they may just be looking at global companies. So your name is going to get lots of impressions, if nothing else. It shows the accredited business logo on there. It is prioritized to our accredited businesses when you first log in, until someone might change that through filters. And that's because we do want to make sure that those companies we vetted and know meet our standards are the ones that come up first. Because as people come to bb.org, we know they are looking for trustworthy companies. So we don't want to confuse them by giving them lots of different ones. Um, we will, like I said, have the seal. And then in return, what I think is probably the most widely used and biggest benefit is that the company now can put our credit business logo, what we call our seal of trust, on all of your advertising, all your interactions, whether it's your signature block on your email. Hopefully, you're advertising on things like billboards and TV stations, whatever you do, print ads, and maybe it is your chamber directory or your local print directories, wherever you're promoting your business. Now you have the authority to use our seal, and that is only granted to companies that are accredited. Even if it's just our logo without the words accredited business, a company is not authorized to use that unless they are accredited with us. And we do have federally registered trademarks on those. So it's super
right.
important that companies understand that. That's the thing we always push. You can get so much value out of it if you use the tools that are granted to you. And then we give you decals. We have bumper stickers for your vehicles. We have storefronts stickers and decals, so that you can really promote this and get the best widely visibility out of it as possible. But it really is a partnership between us putting you out there on our site and other information, and you doing the same with the tools that we give you.
So that makes me think. I'm kind of laughing because I remember the old days when I first started building websites, and it was, I was just focused on designing and building websites, and I would tell customers, "Hey, you need to promote your website," but I wasn't very insistent upon it, and I didn't really make a plan for them to do. And some customers just knew that they needed to promote their website, but now, in with the AI agents and recommendations and overviews, it, it is super important. So it doesn't matter if you're not promoting your website, then you're not getting the word out. So in this, in likewise, if you are not promoting the fact that you're a member of the BB&B, nobody's going to know that you've made that effort, and that it exists. So yeah, and I know I gotta do the same thing. So so I
Yeah,
gotta I
you got
gotta
to
get mine
reserve,
done.
carve out a little time and just put everywhere. But if you get in the habit, so a lot of companies have gotten away from websites and they're using their social media pages. If you put a graphic up, embed the BB logo in there as well. When you become accredited, you get access to our portal, and that gives you our logos and lots of different. We have three different color versions, but lots of different options. And then our what we call a dynamic seal is something you put on online. And if you do have a website, it's great because we don't want people to leave your site. We want them to stay there, and they can just hover over it. It will show how long your company's been accredited, your rating with BBB. You can get all of that designed in there, or you can turn it off. You have options as to what you want to show and what you don't show, but there's lots of opportunities for you to go ahead and take advantage of that. We also give each of our accredited businesses a customized certificate that shows your accreditation, has your name, has the gold seal to show that we created it for you, and we can give multiple copies of that. So if you do have a business where you have representatives of your team going out publicly, we can give you extra copies, and they can be showing that as part of their portfolio as they're talking about your business. And again, this is many times what sets your business apart from others. And just know when people call in, we're giving what we call credit business rosters as well. And they can get that from our website. So many people aren't necessarily checking out a specific business. They may just need someone, and they come to us because they know we're going to give a list of trustworthy companies. So know that we're going to be putting businesses' names on there that are accredited with BBB so that customers can consider those companies. We also have what we call a get a quote service, where if
Mhm.
someone is either on your profile with BBB or again comes to us looking for services, we will give them access to putting in just a quick little summary of what they need, how to get in touch with them, and then we send that to our credit businesses, and you can submit quotes to them right there and hopefully secure some customers that way. And those only go to our credit businesses.
You mentioned uh, a business might have just only a Facebook account, or, and I realize some may only have a Google business profile. Uh, but the AI, in order for the AI to make a recommendation, they need to pull from multiple sources. And so that also made me think about, so from a marketing standpoint, it's just not good enough to have a website. It's not good enough to have just the Facebook page. It's not good enough to have just the Google business profile. You really need all of them. So depending on the marketplace and the amount of competitiveness for a particular business, this is where, so I think about, the question would be, have businesses told you that, oh, I don't need a BB&B membership, I'm already a member of the chamber, or I'm already a member of this other thing, so I don't need to do this thing, right? But I think about from a marketing standpoint, well, if you're in a very competitive marketing, yes, you do. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, what we don't want people to think about or compare us to are lead generation services. We're not, we certainly are here to connect potential customers with trustworthy companies. But we are an organization with a mission to promote trust in the marketplace. So we don't want us to just be thought of as someone's giving us money to get leads. We are asking for companies to pay dues because they've earned the right to be an accredited business through the vetting, and then they're supporting our services that support our mission. So we are very unique. Sometimes businesses don't quite frame it that way, but in return, we're doing everything we can to just validate that this is a trusted business.
Mhm.
Unless unfortunately a company shows otherwise, and then they could have something revoked. But and we do that as well. And we want people to understand we aren't here to just take a check and then give you a seal. We are here to validate that a
Right.
business has met our standards, and our board will revoke that if that isn't upheld. In fact, we have a meeting next week, and there is a company that we're going to have to ask them to consider that too. So we really want businesses to understand our seal means something, and it means something to the public, and the public recognizes it. We're working really hard to make sure the younger generation understands that as well. They've been great at helping submit like fraud reports to our scam tracker page, so they understand that side. But we want them to understand also the trust side, because we know that trust is important, that in our
Mhm.
environment. So we're getting even to some environmental programs. We locally have gotten into some entrepreneurship type programs to help younger entrepreneurs gain skills to be successful. So we're trying to be everywhere, but I fully agree with you. They need to be marketing their business on as many pages as possible. I know your business can help with that. And then we do find that AI really loves to talk about BBB when people are looking for trust, because they do know we have a longstanding brand. So many times AI will just tell someone without ever having to touch our page that a company is accredited with BBB or not accredited. Many times now we see that it says they're not accredited with BBB. So AI is doing both.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's and that trust factor is the AI agent is looking at, okay, looking at the service, like who offers this service, and then they cross reference with the brand.
Right,
And so what's the trust level between, the brand's reputation and involvement in the community, their brand, right, with that particular service. So it's making that cross reference. So we've talked about reviews, which I think is, the membership is probably the most important piece, for granted here that we're taking that. But then reviews within that is a very specific task that can be done through the BB&B, which
right.
are highly, highly important to contributing to the trust factor. And then, but there's also another piece, awards. Tell us about the Torch Awards and what you guys do with that.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is my favorite part of what we do because we have our annual event where we recognize companies that have been nominated and have been selected by our judges to either be a winner or a finalist of our Torch Award for Ethics. Uh, we have been offering this for over 3 decades now. So that combined with scholarships for local students too. And it's not too early to start applying now. But for the Torch Awards, we're looking at what we call our 4 C's of trust. So it's a very easy process. If a company can self-nominate, you don't have to be BB accredited. However, our judges certainly are looking at all different aspects when scoring a company. And they do like when they can see that a company's already been vetted and committed to trust. But in essence, you're sharing documentation to support that you are focused on character, culture, meaning character being really the philosophy of the leader, culture being how that is shared with your team and that it starts from the top and goes down. And then, of course, customers and then community and making sure you're supporting the community as well. And so each year we do local awards across those 21 counties that we cover in Southeast Tennessee and Northwest Georgia. We do it by size of category. So you would be competing among similar sized businesses for this. And then our winners are actually eligible to compete at the international level across North America with other winners. So we've even had some companies that have been selected as finalists or winners of the International Torch Awards for Ethics. And that's been really exciting. And as I said, we also have the Students of Integrity Scholarship. So we give out $1,000 scholarships to students from our local schools, and those are sponsored by businesses. We were fortunate enough to actually have an extra sponsor this year, so we gave out 11. We usually give out 10. And as part of the entry, students are asked to do a 400 to 500 word essay on what ethics means to businesses in our community. We really ask them to please don't just give us an AI response. We can tell when they've used AI because there's words in there that probably they don't have in their vocabulary. But what's really touching is when we know someone whose family member has a business or is heavily involved, or they've had an experience, good or bad, with a company, or watched family members have a good experience and can really connect that to what it means to success as well as to our community success. We also look at a smaller level grades, leadership, community service from those students. But we just love recognizing these students too for understanding that trust is so important to the viability of a business.
That is great. So tell us how often these awards happen and what's
Yeah,
the
so
process?
the event where we announce the winners is in May. So we kind of work backwards,
Okay.
but you can actually visit bbb.org/Chattanooga right now and do a nomination form. And then if either we're contacting your business or if you want to nominate other businesses, we welcome those. That's what we want, is to hear from the community who stands out to you as someone who's really focused on ethics and integrity, and recognize those businesses and submit those to us, and then we'll notify them so they can do the online entry. Usually our deadline to get the response in is in March. That gives our judges time to go through
Okay.
everything and score them so that we can have the event ready. So we usually have about 35 contenders for the awards, and we have 4 business size categories and also a nonprofit category. And
Okay.
we do have standards for nonprofits too, which is a little bit different, but we use
Mhm.
those as well.
Okay, so nominations are in by the end of March, and then the awards are given out in May. So is that done in person? What does that event look like?
Yeah, and actually, I would say nominations are best if they're submitted by February to give the company time to get their entry in by March. So what we've been doing, and I think we're going to shift gears this next year, but we've been doing a luncheon. It's been hosted the last few years at the Chattanooga Convention Center, and we have people
Okay.
come in from all over our 21 county service area. We have the students there, and they bring their parents and or guests from school. It could be a guidance counselor, a teacher, a principal. We have the businesses that have been nominated and have submitted that entry. So our contenders, and we keep it a surprise. So we don't announce who actually won or is a finalist until they come to the event.
Yeah.
So they don't know, and we get to have that element of surprise. And we invite our previous year's winners to come up to the stage and help us announce the current
Oh,
year's winners and get them to talk about what has
that is great.
um, yeah, if you've won the award, please tell us what that's meant to you and your team. And we just love that because the whole event is truly a celebration of trust, and it's about a hour and a half long. um, Everyone that attends always tells it's such an uplifting event because it really is just focused on all the positives and what being recognized for being a company that's focused on integrity truly means to these businesses as well.
Wow, that sounds like an exciting and a great networking opportunity for businesses just to be a part of. Just submit just so you can go to the luncheon and, and just have a good
Yeah.
time,
And
you know?
then following up to that, we do a pullout section in the Times Free Press that comes out a couple weeks later on a Sunday that has all the names of the contenders, the finalist winners. We do highlights from them. Companies can advertise in there as long as they meet our standards. We prefer accredited businesses. Our sponsors are recognized in there. So it's a really great commemorative piece as well. So we're doing, and of course, we're sharing press releases throughout North Alabama. So I'm going back to my old roots, Southeast Tennessee and Northwest Georgia. So we're sending press releases to all the media to share
Wow.
in all the papers about who our winners, finalists, students were that were selected for the event because we want to make sure that we are getting that recognition out. But it is a great networking opportunity.
Wow, that sounds like an incredible way to build trust online for a business. Um, so awards might be one of the most unrecognized little pun there
Yes.
for building trust online.
And we do
Um,
have special logos for our finalists and winners that they are able to display in their own advertising and on their website. So that's a perpetual thing they can use as long as they continue to uphold our standards. So that once you're a winner, you can be using that for longevity. So we really encourage businesses to consider this. The thing we love the most is when an employee submits an entry on behalf of their employer because we know that they're on the
ah,
inside really seeing how the business is run, and that means so much when they are uh, you know saying to us our company is just so outstanding and we think they should be considered for this award. And then from there the company still submits their information to show how they're demonstrating that on a daily or a continual basis.
Michelle, this has been an incredible, like, packed full interview. Um, and so, do you have any final advice for our business owners and entrepreneurs out there that are trying to start a business in North Georgia and East Tennessee?
Yeah, well, we hope they'll reach out to us. We got a grant and we launched a business accelerator earlier this year, and it was a wonderful experience. We had 11 weeks where for a couple of hours we'd bring a guest speaker in, and our attendees told us that, we came in thinking we already knew a lot about business, and we realized there was a lot we still didn't know. So it's a great opportunity. We did this alongside with the Atlanta office. So they have opportunities as well. But if someone's interested, let us know. We're going to start working on our next ones, but our team is also here to help in any way that we can. So please feel free to contact us. And then when we talk about the accreditation side of things, one of the things that our national office really does a great job on is investing in SEO, making sure that the way that we present our information really works well with browsers and their algorithms. And of course, it's tough because they change a lot, but we really do work highly on visibility and especially in search results. So hopefully, people are recognizing that BBB information is popping up as they're doing searches. So not only are people coming to us and checking things out, but many times someone's just doing a general search and then they see BBB. So businesses sometimes tell us, well, no one, mentioned that they found me through BBB, but yet we show that we've had hundreds of people view their profile, and it's because it's that complimentary thing. Yes, they were looking them up, but then they're looking at what BBB is saying about them just to add that extra credibility. And so we're a partner. We may not always be the frontline partner, but we're always a partner that you want to have in your pocket because we are highly trusted and give that credibility to a business.
So you just made me think of something that happened to me this last week, and it was really incredible. If you build good trust, and so this isn't the exception. What happened to me, I think, is the exception, but that's what we want. We want the exception to be the normal. But I got a referral from one of my customers,
Hmm.
and I asked him, I was like, "Well, did you look at my website?" And he said, "No." He said, "I trust the person that recommended you
Right,
completely, and I did not look at your website or anything, and I didn't look up." So they didn't search for me. They didn't ask. They didn't go, searching would have gave them an AI overview, right? Or they didn't go to
right,
ChatGPT and ask about my business or me. They had full and complete trust in the person that made that referral. And
right.
that's not the normal. What the
No,
normal is, people are going to go to 10 or 11 different platforms. They're going to go to ChatGPT. They're going to Google you. They're going to go to, LinkedIn, Facebook. They're going to go to different social media channels. They're going to go to all these different places,
and
you know,
BBB.
and B&B, right? They're going to go to all these other places before they ever like engage directly with you. And
Right.
this is why I believe that the memberships, that BB&B is so important to building that trust, because unless you have unless you have 300 customers that are completely trustworthy, like the one customer that I had, you're not going to get there. So it's
Yeah.
it's super important and critical for
Absolutely. And that
every
aligns so
business.
well with the advice we give out. We constantly talk about, definitely go to family and friends to get recommendations, but still take a couple minutes. It doesn't take long to do your research and make
Get your
sure that
homework.
you're not finding any issues because, even if they had a great experience, you want to make sure that that's been a consistent sign out there online. And yes, BB's here to help with that. We maintain information on complaints for up to 3 years as well as reviews. And I think that's going to be extended beyond that very soon, but at least giving you the most current 3 year snapshot. And that's important because we don't really want a company to be measured by something that happened 10 years ago. We want them to be measured by the more current because
Something's
sometimes,
real.
yeah, sometimes people make mistakes or they have to learn along the way or they kind of mature and they realize what's important in making that business successful. So we really want to make sure that it's a good snapshot of more current activity, but we're here to help give that as a neutral party.
So again, I spent a little bit of time doing my research with marketing, trying to keep up with the times, and I heard one other marketer on YouTube mention that the AI agents have no concept of time. So, like you're saying, if something happened 10 years ago, it may not even be relevant. And what if the business was sold, or as a new business owner, or somebody, or that business, it dissolved or whatever, and there's a new business with almost the same name, or they're using something that's very similar. And
Right.
and I wanted to bring up this earlier because and I don't know if this is something that you can answer, but what happens when there's a company that's registered as a business in Georgia, and the exact same company with the exact same a different company with the exact same name is registered in the state of Tennessee? What is that? The confusion that can go on between having the same name, they're both
Mhm.
legitimate businesses, but they are incorporated in two different states.
Right.
How do you handle that? What do you advise?
Yeah, well, thankfully for us, our information shows the address of the company as you're searching, so you can distinguish which one you want to learn about. We encourage you to take a look at both just to make sure, but that we do distinguish by phone number, address. So there's an owner. So there's a lot of pieces of information you can look to make sure you are looking at the correct
The
company.
right, the right one.
But, if one has a not so great reputation and one has a good one, you definitely want to be monitoring that other one and making sure you're not seeing signs that it is harming your business, or might be time to kind of tweak that name a little bit.
Yes, yes. I recently had to do that, and it was uh, kind of the first time I had to deal with that. But I think there's actually four companies, all four states: Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and n- even Kentucky. I think there's literally like four companies, different companies with the exact same name. They're all
Mhm.
registered in different states. And as the AI agents are making these overviews and recommendations, it's going to be businesses are going to have to take steps to modify their name online in
Right.
addition to their incorporated name to distinguish themselves. So that's really good
Yeah,
advice. uh,
absolutely.
Michelle, thank you so much. We have filled our time slot
Yeah.
very well today.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming on the show, viewers. If you've learned anything from this video, then please like and subscribe to our channel. Ask us questions, leave us comments if you would like to see other similar interviews or different interviews with that are related to marketing, business owners, and even membership companies, other places that where you can help build your reputation online. And just leave that in the comments for us. So thanks again for watching, Michelle. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, bye bye.